All right, gather round. Grab a snack, maybe check your fit in the mirror, because today we are diving into Michelle Obama's new book, The Look. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just a picture book about dresses? And look, yes, there are photos, but if you think Michelle Obama just wrote a book about being pretty, you have clearly not been paying attention to the last, I don't know, 2 decades. This woman is a strategist. She is a chess player. And this book, it's not about clothes. It's about armor. It's about language. It's about how to control how the world sees you before you even open your mouth. So the subtitle here is all about fashion, hair, and beauty. But the real meat on the bone is about power, specifically soft power. It's about how she survived being the most scrutinized woman on the planet without losing her mind, and how she used a cardigan to essentially disarm nuclear threats. Okay, maybe not nuclear threats, but definitely grumpy foreign diplomats. I've gone through the glossy pages and the behind-the-scenes stories, and I'm going to break this down into the life lessons you actually need. We are going to skip the fashion industry jargon and get straight to the wisdom. Lesson 1. Your style is a weapon. Use it. The first big takeaway is that appearance is not superficial, it's strategic. Michelle talks about how when she first entered the White House, she realized something scary. People were looking at her shoes more than they were listening to her speeches. Now, you have two choices when that happens. You can get mad and yell, "Stop looking at my feet." Or you can say, "Okay, if you're looking at my feet, I'm going to wear shoes that tell you exactly who I am." She calls this fashion diplomacy. She realized she could use her outfits to signal values. If she wore a dress by a young immigrant designer, she was saying, "The American dream is alive," without saying a word. If she wore a cardigan instead of a stiff blazer, she was saying, "I'm approachable. You can talk to me." Here's the analogy. Think of your style like the thumbnail on a YouTube video. You could have the best video in the world, the cure for cancer, or a cat playing the piano. But if the thumbnail is just a gray square, nobody clicks. Your outfit is the clickbait for your personality. Most of us treat getting dressed like a chore. We just grab the shirt that smells the least like pizza. But Michelle is saying, no, dress like you are the main character in the movie of your life. If you walk into a negotiation wearing sweatpants, you are signaling, "I have given up." If you walk in wearing a sharp jacket that fits, you are signaling, "I am expensive and I know things." Stop letting your clothes be an accident. Make them a strategy. Lesson 2. Don't let the comments section write your bio. This is a huge theme in the book. Michelle talks about the dissection. From the moment her husband ran for office, people picked her apart. They criticized her hair, her height, her laugh. They called her angry. They even obsessed over her eyebrows. Her instinct, naturally, was to shrink, to hide, to wear boring gray suits and blend into the wallpaper so nobody could say anything mean. But she realized that if she did that, she was letting the critics define her. She was letting the haters write her biography. So she did the opposite. She reclaimed the narrative. She started wearing bright colors. She wore sleeveless dresses that showed off those famous arms. She basically said, "Oh, you're looking at me? Good. Here is exactly what I want you to see." Think of this like your social media presence. You know that one person who posts vague, sad song lyrics every time they have a bad day? They're letting the world define them as a mess. Don't do that. If you're at work and someone keeps interrupting you, don't just get quiet. Reclaim the space. If people think you're just the funny guy, but you want a promotion, stop making self-deprecating jokes and start wearing a watch that costs more than your car. Okay, maybe not that, but you get the point. You have to edit your own character. If you don't write your script, some internet troll or a jealous coworker will write it for you, and trust me, you won't like the ending. Lesson 3. The bare arms theory of resilience. Let's talk about the arms. You know the ones, the biceps that launched 1,000 op-eds. In the book, Michelle talks about the first time she wore a sleeveless dress for an official portrait. The media lost its collective mind. How dare she? It's winter. It's scandalous. It was ridiculous. It was arms. Everyone has them. Well, most people. But here's the lesson. She kept doing it. She didn't put on a sweater to make them comfortable. She realized that her existence, a tall, confident black woman in a space that was historically white and male, was going to upset people no matter what she wore. So she might as well be comfortable. This is the bare arms theory. There is a version of you that is going to annoy people just by existing. Maybe you're too loud for them. Maybe you're too ambitious. Maybe you're too happy. The lesson is stop trying to cover up your arms. If people are intimidated by your strength or your intelligence or your weird obsession with collecting vintage spoons, that is a them problem, not a you problem. Imagine you're at a gym. You're lifting heavy, you're sweating, you're grunting a little bit, and some guy comes over and says, "Hey, can you lift less weight? It's making me feel insecure." You wouldn't stop lifting. You'd tell him to go to the juice bar. Do not put on a sweater just because the world is cold. Lesson 5. The squad is the secret sauce. This is where Michelle gets really honest. We see her on magazine covers looking flawless, and we think, wow, she wakes up like that. In The Look, she introduces us to the team. Meredith Coop, the stylist, Carl, the makeup artist, the hairstylists. She explicitly says, I did not do this alone. She admits that looking like Michelle Obama is a full-time job that requires a literal pit crew. We live in a culture that loves the self-made myth. We love to pretend we do everything ourselves. Oh, this? I just threw it on. Oh, I just whipped up this 5-course meal in 10 minutes. Michelle calls BS on that. She honors her team. She shows that her success was a group project. Here's the life advice. Stop trying to be the solitary hero. You need a squad. You need a friend who tells you when you have spinach in your teeth. You need a mentor who tells you your resume sucks. You need a partner who hypes you up when you feel like garbage. Think about Formula One racing. The driver gets the champagne, but the driver would be driving a glorified go-kart in circles if the pit crew didn't change the tires in 1.9 seconds. Find your pit crew, and when you win, make sure you put their names in the book. Don't pretend you changed your own tires. Lesson 5. Comfort versus the crown. There is a funny tension in the book between looking royal and actually being a human being who needs to move. Michelle talks about the physical pain of some of these outfits, the heels, the corsets, the heavy fabrics. But she also talks about the evolution towards comfort. As she got more confident, the heels got lower, the fabrics got softer. She started prioritizing her ability to actually do the job over looking like a statue. She has this rule of huggability. She stopped wearing things that were too prickly or stiff because she wanted to be able to hug people. She didn't want her clothes to be a barrier between her and a crying child or a veteran. Here's the analogy for you. Think about dating. On the first date, you wear the tight jeans, the stiff shirt, the shoes that blister your heels. You are selling a fantasy. But the goal is to get to the sweatpants stage of the relationship. That's where the real connection happens. In your career, you can't be so polished, so stiff, and so perfect that people are afraid to approach you. You have to be huggable. I don't mean literally hugging your boss. HR will have a field day with that. I mean, you have to be human. If your professional armor is so thick that nobody can see the person inside, you might get respect, but you won't get loyalty. Loosen the tie. Roll up the sleeves. Let people see that you can move. Lesson 6. The power of the mix. One of Michelle's signature moves was mixing high-end designer stuff with off-the-rack stuff from J. Crew or Target. She would wear a $2,000 skirt with a $30 belt. Why? Because it disrupted the status quo. It said, I belong in the White House, but I also shop at the mall like you. It broke down the class barrier. This is a masterclass in relatability. We often think we have to choose. I'm either fancy or I'm casual. I'm either smart or I'm fun. Michelle says, mix it up. Apply this to your life. Be the person who reads philosophy books, but also watches trashy reality TV. Be the person who's a ruthless negotiator in business but sends goofy memes to the group chat. The most interesting people are the ones who can mix the high and the low. Think about food. The best burger you've ever had probably wasn't the one with gold leaf on it. It was the one from the food truck that also had a really complex truffle sauce. It's the mix that makes it memorable. Don't be one note. Be a designer dress with a Target belt. And lesson 7, aging is an upgrade, not a downgrade. Towards the end of the book, Michelle talks about where she is now. She's in her 60s, her hair is in braids, she's wearing denim. She talks about this new freedom. When she was First Lady, she had to be perfect. Now she gets to be real. She frames aging not as losing her looks, but as gaining her freedom. This is crucial. We are terrified of getting older. We think we're like milk. We have an expiration date. Michelle frames it like wine, or maybe a really good cast iron skillet. You just get better and more non-stick with time. The lesson here? Stop fighting the timeline. Stop trying to be the version of yourself you were 10 years ago. That version was insecure and probably had bad hair. The current version of you has battle scars, yes, but you also have wisdom. You have the look of someone who has survived. Own that. If you're the oldest guy in the club, don't try to dance like the 20-year-olds. You'll pull a hamstring. Stand at the bar, buy the good scotch, and look mysterious. That's the upgrade. Conclusion. So let's wrap this up. The Look isn't just a book about fashion. It's a manifesto on presence. It teaches us that we are all, constantly, telling a story with our bodies, our clothes, and our energy. You can let the world write that story for you, in which case you'll probably be cast as an extra, or you can take the pen. You can put on your armor. You can gather your pit crew. You can show off your arms, ignore the haters, and mix the high with the low. Michelle Obama didn't become an icon because she wore nice dresses. She became an icon because she wore the dresses. The dresses didn't wear her. She filled the space. So tomorrow morning, when you're standing in front of your closet staring at the same 3 shirts, ask yourself, what am I trying to say today? Am I saying, I hope nobody notices me? Or am I saying, I am here and I am ready to handle business? Pick the shirt that says the second one, and maybe throw on a cool belt from Target, just for good measure. You got this. Stay stylish. See ya.